Hi, my name is Gudrun from GE Designs. Welcome to my live quilting chat, Tipsy Tuesday. Hi, everybody. Thank you for being with me here on a Tuesday evening in Minnesota. Maybe it's a different time where you are, but I'd like to welcome you whether you're watching from Facebook or from YouTube. Yes, we are live on Facebook tonight. It didn't work out so well last week, but we are live in both places. Yay! Thanks to Mr. Honey Producer, figured it out and got it all going. So if you are new to our show, make sure to put in the comments your name and where you are watching from. It's always fun to have new viewers, and make sure you say hi to everybody. On the show tonight, we will get to know 4 more quilts from the new book, from the new Stripology Mixology 2. And then, of course, I'm going to take you through the next steps of our little sew-along, Strippin on the side, our little side projects. So give you some more tips on depending on which direction you were going to go, which quilt you wanted it to end up being in the end. And so I will take you through all of that through the show. Of course, as always, I will try to answer all your questions live, so make sure you pop them in the comments and we will try and get to them. Of course, there's a lot of questions, so sometimes we don't catch them, but if we catch them, we'll try and answer them live. So please use your thumbs up and hearts. That helps us spread the word, spread the video around. If you like what you see, throw us some hearts and thumbs up. And thumbs up are on YouTube as well. And if you're on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Then you will never miss a video. If you're on Facebook, make sure to subscribe and make sure that you sign up for notifications on our GE Designs page, and also join the crew, our group on Facebook, Gudrun's Quilt Crew, where all the fun happens as well. All right, so I see lots of people joining in. We have a good audience tonight, so thank you again. I want to especially welcome, I did a live lecture through Zoom last night for a group of quilters in Saskatchewan, Canada. So I was in Canada technically last night doing a lecture. So it was really great to see people there. So thank you for having me do my virtual lecture. So if some of you are watching tonight, welcome. And also this morning, I was one of the speakers for American Quilt Retailers Academy, which is an event that was specifically designed for shop owners. So I was honored to be one of the speakers. So if you were there this morning or all day, it was an all-day event, and are popping in to say hi, thank you for being here, and special hi to you. All right, so we always have a giveaway every single show. Wait till the end, and we will pick one winner from our random winner from all the comments. So the more you comment, the better chance to win. And we also have a question at the end. So even if you can't watch live, you always have a chance to win. So our last show, last week, we had a question, and of course, it was the big launch of the book, and we played the trailer with all the projects from the book. And so my question to everybody was, what quilt caught your eye first? And from the random comments on both Facebook and YouTube, our winner, I have it. He doesn't have it to put on the screen. Our winner is Deirdre Webb. And so congratulations, Deirdre. We will contact you and get you that $25 gift card to the GE Quilt Design store. And her answer was hard to pick just one, but Jackie caught my eye. It really caught my eye. So thank you for that. And thank you for being a part of it and watching. So again, thanks everybody. If you watched either the lecture last night or this morning, I wanted to give you a little heads up, a thumbs up for being here if you are. The Fall Fellas wall hanging that is actually hanging over here. Of course, it's been a few days since it went live for the Fast and Furious Club Season 2, and we are seeing so many awesome versions pop up on Facebook. And I decided that I'm going to do a slideshow of all the Fall Fellas. Some are turning it into wall hangings, and others are becoming pillows. So we're going to do a whole slideshow on our Friday show. So Friday at 3 p.m. Central, I will do a big slideshow of of all the photos of the falfalas that I can find on social media. So thank you for loving the project, and thank you for making it and posting your pictures. It's always fun to see everybody's versions and take on that. So I think it's just time to move right into our topic. So I introduced you to kind of a closer look at 4 quilts from the book, the new book, upcoming book that can now be pre-ordered. I did that last week, and so tonight we're gonna get to know 4 more a little bit closer. But let me show you the first I want to show you the cover quilt and the cover of the book. So this is Stripology Mixology 2. If you're new to the Stripology book, this one kind of follows the footsteps of the first one. So there are 13 quilts in there using all the different pre-cuts. So 2.5 and 1.5 inch strips, and then 10 and 5-inch squares. Some quilts even use a combination. So like I said, we took a look at 4 last week, and now we're going to take a look at 4 more. So the book can now be pre-ordered if you're interested, both in printed form and as an ebook. So make sure you check that out on gequiltdesigns.com. I actually included direct links in the description of the video, so you can just click right on there and go straight to the website. All right, so let's look at the next 4 quilts. First up is Athena, and she is hanging behind me, and look at this. Look at this gorgeous, gorgeous quilt. So this one, I always wanted to do a hunter star. I always wanted to do a hunter star quilt, and just always thought to myself, there must be a better way to do a hunter star other than cutting out all these odd little shapes, and which are, you know, diamonds and parallelograms and trapezoids and stuff like that, and sewn together. And you need specialty rulers for some versions of it, some patterns. Sometimes you're making half square triangles, and I didn't like that version either, so I had to come up with my own. So this is my version of the hunter star. Now, of course, it is not hard at all. You're not sewing a single triangle. You're not sewing a single diamond, trapezoid, parallelogram, nothing. And still you end up with these awesome 8-pointed stars. And look at this venue that we found to photograph this quilt. So, of course, I named her Athena for a few reasons. Athena, of course, was a famous god in Greek mythology. So Athena was kind of the version of a hunter. She looked over hunters and those that cared for the land, also for those that were creative and creators of craft. So I thought that was very perfect, since it is a version of the hunter star. So you see the 8-pointed star that gets created in the corners where the blocks meet. But this quilt is actually created with I use 10-inch squares and then a single background fabric. You can also use 5-inch squares and 2.5-inch strips as a combination for this quilt. So, and then you could, of course, use a scrappy background. So I used just scrappy different blues. As you can see on the quilt behind me, going from dark navy into the medium blues into a little bit lighter blues. Most of the prints came from a fabric line by Moda called The Blues that I'm going to be showing you a little later. We just got it in as a bundle. So I'm going to show you those up close a little bit later in the show. But I just love how it turned out. It's very classy, the blue and white. And I thought, you know, it just spoke to me, the name. And of course, just the Greek connection to finding this spot to photograph it. It was just all so perfect. I couldn't have asked for anything more. So if you're nervous about this, if you made Nova, the quilt, it starts off very similar or same way. And then we take just a different route to create the 8-pointed star versus a regular star that's in the Nova pattern. So very easy. And of course, the key, what makes this super easy, is having either the XL ruler or the squared ruler to square up your blocks and make sure everything lines up perfectly. So a pain-free hunter star, but it's actually cooler than a hunter star because you see that extra little triangle in there? Yeah, it's cooler. It looks more intricate than even a hunter star. So everybody's going to have to make Athena. Just saying. And you can make it in the blues, you can make it in all reds, or you can make, what I'm really envisioning in my head right now is a really colorful, all colors of the rainbow, just mixed, and really kind of bright jewel tones. So I may have to make another one. Just, yeah, and that's rare. You know that with me. So let's move on to the next one. The next one is called Field of Flowers. So I'm going to put this up, and I'm going to run and grab the quilt because it's sitting out here, and I want to show it to you up close. So Field of Flowers is made with 5-inch squares and 2.5-inch strips. So I had all of these 2.5-inch strips that were kind of chartreuse colored and from leftovers from my Lucy quilt mostly. So I used all of those strips, and then 5-inch squares I used from Robin Pickens' new line called Solana. And so it's just awesome because some of those flowers kind of, I tried to fussy cut them so that you can kind of see the sunflower in the middle. But this is another really fun pattern because it looks a lot harder than it is. So we have, you can see the strips, and then you can see the 5-inch squares. And so really nice pops of color. I used a gray background because that just worked really well with my green strips. Of course, this would look really great as a white background if you have darker green or something. And so any kind of field of flowers, of course, that you want to create with these would be just awesome. And so it's actually not as hard as you may think because we have blocks that have the stem unit, and then we have just blocks with the squares. So then it's just put together in rows. So it's not really much you have to match up. So that's really easy, a lot easier than you might think. So I, of course, cut that diagonal with the Stripology XL ruler. I give you instructions to use regular rulers. And, of course, in this particular case, the point trimmers are going to be a lifesaver as well because you can trim those corners off and everything matches really nicely. So the XL and the point trimmers work really well with this one. But, of course, I give you instructions to use regular rulers as well. All right, so that was Field of Flowers. Next one up is Milky Way. So Milky Way is hanging in the corner behind me. So there it is. So this quilt, if it looks familiar to you, if you've been following me for a while, this was in an old book that is out of print called Strip On. And so that book only had quilts using strips. And this was one of the quilts in there. And I wanted to kind of rewrite it and do it a little bit differently. And so I added a little bit to this pattern. I've always wanted to really make it in red, white, and blue because I thought it would just be perfect. So all you need is 2.5-inch strips and then that 1 yard of accent fabric that you go into the stars. So that just was perfect to have those white stars on the red and blue background. So that was a mix of all kinds of reds and blues that from my stash. Mostly, though, from branded, so I like that little bit of a dustier blue. And you can kind of see behind me there. She's hanging in the corner. Now, there's a couple of, I brought in a couple of more photos. So here's the old version. Oh, no, this is just the other one from the side, just so you can see. So this is in the new book. And then the picture from the older book that is out of print, the Strip-On book, I made it in totally different colors. So just kind of these rusty reds, greens, and browns, and then a light fabric for the stars, and it's just as cool, but a totally different vibe. And so one thing I did add as well into the new book is an option to add a wide border to the quilt, because then it is like 2 inches too short or too narrow for the ideal size for Quilts of Valor. For me, it's a nice little lap size. It's a nice smaller lap that, to place actually on your lap. But if you wanted to make it an official Quilts of Valor, all you need to do is add a wide border, and I have those instructions in the book as an option if you wanted to make it just a little bit bigger. Okay, so then the next quilt is Trixie. Trixie is going to be a hit, I tell you that right now. She is made with 10-inch squares and then 2.5-inch strips. And then you need one accent fabric. That dark accent fabric that you see that kind of creates the squares laying underneath the pinwheels. That is the cool accent fabric that I use. And so you use that for that. And I used it for binding too, because I think it really kind of frames everything together. And so really a fun quilt, much easier than you think, and you do square up the blocks in the end, so putting it together is a piece of cake. So just a little bit different angle, and I struggled with this. So this one is very versatile because obviously it is an asymmetrical block, so you can create all kinds of different layouts. And I had a really hard time picking between the layouts when I was making this one. I really wanted to make the layout 2 that's in the upper left corner, and then I started playing and I'm like, oh, but then layout 5 would be good. I don't know. So there's all kinds of versions. There's one more that I'm not showing you, but you can really play with this one and have loads and loads of fun. The fabric I used was quotations for the most part. So for the really bright ones was quotations. That is coming out. We have it up for pre-sale. I have both the colored version and then the neutrals. So I use the neutrals, the light ones, for most of the strips. And then, oh, I'm going to sneeze right on air. Yeah, I think I'm good. Wow. Talking too much. And of course, everybody's furnace is now on here in the northern part of the United States because this morning it was 15 degrees in Minnesota. Yikes. Anyways, I left Trixie at the GE headquarters this morning, so I don't have it to show you up close, but I will be sure to bring it next week and show you up close, or even maybe Friday. But I love it, and I will definitely be making a second one. So that'll be great. So do we have any questions on these 4? Of course, I will show you the 5 that are left next week. And then it's really the countdown for the book to come in real life. So any questions? Everybody's loving the different layouts. That's great. So, so many options. Yeah, that would be, and yeah, somebody says, Elaine says, Trixie would be a cute baby quilt. Absolutely, because you can just make a small one and it's just really striking design with the triangles. And who doesn't love pinwheels, of course, but you can play with the layouts. All right. So if we are not having any more questions, the name of the book. Name of the book is Stripology Mixology 2. So that is all on the website. I actually put direct links also in the description of the video. So if you're on YouTube, it's below. If you're on Facebook, it's above. So check it out if you haven't done so already. Of course, the pre-sale, all the copies of the actual printed book will be signed by me. So you'll get your autographed copy. All right, so I think we're ready to move on into our little challenge, our stripping on the side with Gudrun, our 2020 scrap challenge. So lots of options, and I'm seeing a lot of you getting the hang of the leader and enders. So doing a project on the side as you're working on something else, and it's really fun to see how you're embracing that and what a treat it is to be working on 2 things at once. And all of a sudden, this second quilt is just going to happen as you're working on other stuff. So I know some of you may get a little eager and excited to finish it, and I saw that too, but that's okay. We all do it whatever way you want to do it. And so I'm over eager. I think I'm working on 3 different ones. But then I found 2 other leader ender projects that I already had going. So I'm kind of trying to speed those up first and then so I can get moving on the other ones. But it'll all come together. So don't worry about that. So leader and ender, if you don't know what that is the first piece you feed through your sewing machine and the last piece. So as you're working on something, you're chain piecing, instead of when you feed that last piece through and you clip the threads and you waste some thread, we just take one piece from our leader ender project, feed that through the machine, and then we clip from behind. So you never waste thread and you're kind of working on something alongside your main project. All right, so what I showed you last week was our first step for all of the 6 different projects that this can take shape of was just putting together 2 strips. So sewing 2 strips together, we're working with 1.5 inch strips. Some of these might not be this long, might be shorter. So we're going to just start. We started by doing all of that. Now I showed you and told you with all the different patterns, if you needed to set some extra strips aside and, you know, make some decisions on color. But let's go to the next step. So I'm going to show you on the overhead. Oh, there's that dry air back. All right, so first project, let's put up the rainbow Ruth on the screen. Do we have Rainbow Ruth somewhere? Yep, there she is. So Rainbow Ruth was our project in 2018, where we used also 1.5 inch strips. This one is in my mixology book, the first mixology book, but it's also a free project. You can just download off of my website. So go to free patterns. If you go to the shop button, free patterns, and she will be in there. It's going to be called Scrap Junkie, but it's the blocks that you make to create that or 2 other different layouts. So for Rainbow Ruth, you are going to be creating 2 different blocks from your strip sets. So if you were, first off, I just told you to sew all the 2 together. And then for every 2 strip sets, I told you to save 1 single strip. So if you do the pairs, the single strip gets then added to one of the units. We're going to be making two different strip sets for Rainbow Ruth or any of the other versions of Scrap Junkie. So either do sets with 3 or join another one on there and do a set with 5. So strip sets of 5 or strip sets of 3 is what we need for Rainbow Ruth. And depending on, you know, how many strip sets you want to have a few more of the sets of 3, because we're going to subcut those into a little bit bigger pieces than the ones that are in 5s are subcut smaller. So we're going to need more strip sets containing 3 strips than we are containing 5. And if you're going to do Rainbow Ruth like I did it, kind of combining the same colors, that's why I kind of put these together. So put together the 5 strips or 3 strips of the same color or similar colors. And that's kind of how you color block your blocks. So that is the step for Rainbow Ruth. The next one up is Strip Search. So Strip Search, let's look at the Strip Search quilt first. So there it is, the Strip Search quilt. And I am actually, this is one of my Leader Ender projects, is the Strip Search. I'm using the Juniper line. I had some leftovers. So here are my sets of 2. So I told you for every 5 sets of 2, you needed to save a single strip. So here are my 5 sets of 2. And then so from there, we're going to make a strip set that contains 5. So I'm going to add the single strip to one of the strip sets of 2 and then another strip set below that. So I will have a strip set with 5, and then the others I will do a strip set of 6. So strip sets of 5 and strip sets of 6. So that's just sewing 3 of these together. So for Strip Search, we're going to have even numbers of sets with 5 and sets with 6. So let me just show you to make it easier for you to see. So then next step would be to subcut these, which we're going to talk about next week. So what you want is even numbers, like I said, and these are half width. So these are only 21 inch about so strip set. So of course I told you you can work with smaller ones. You can work with full width. If you have full width, you might be able to get more units out of the strip sets than the half width like I'm working with. So, you can just kind of figure that out. But what you will essentially get out of 21-inch strip set, 1 5-piece and 1 6-piece is 3 completed blocks. So that's kind of how you can do your math in thinking how many blocks you were going to have and how far that those scraps will get you. All right, so that was strip search. Next one we're going to talk about is strip off. Strip off is going to be similar to both strip search and the rainbow Ruth. So it's similar to rainbow Ruth if you wanted to color block them and kind of do strips of the same color together. So then what you would do, I told you for every 2 sets you would need to save a single strip. So you're doing the exact same as you would with rainbow Ruth. So you have your sets of 2, you have your single strip that you sew onto one of them, and then press, and then you join the 2 with the 3, and you make a strip set of 5. So that will be your next step for strip off. And if you want to color block them or if you want to make them scrappy, it doesn't matter. They're going to look good either way. All right, so next up is Strip Ahoy. So Strip Ahoy is my second little project. And so this one, you just wanted to make pairs, of course, of the strips. And so I actually forgot to mention one thing last week, and it's not in the blog. I needed you to save a few of these strips, but not for strip piecing. We actually needed to save them to cut into 1.5-inch squares. They are done to use for the corners of the first block. But if you don't have any more of these, you can cut these squares from whatever fabric you want, or you can maybe unsew a couple of the strip sets to get those squares. But I apologize for not saying that. But once you have all the 2s, some of these, once you have your pattern, and depending on how many strip sets you had, some of these are going to be subcut into square or into 1.5-inch units like this. And in the pattern, I tell you, of course, how many strip units you will need to subcut to create those. But I love the scrappier the better and variety. So what I tend to do when I'm doing something scrappy like this and I don't really know how many blocks I'm going to end up with, I like to just cut a few off of each of the strip sets of 2. So I cut these off of all of them so I have a lot of variety in my little units, because these guys are going to be made into 4 patches. So you're going to make 4 patches just by sewing 2 of these together, and you make a 4 patch. And so that's why I cut just off of kind of 2 or I think I did 4 cuts from each of the strip sets. And then what is left, those we're going to sew 2 of these together into a set of 4. And that is for the B blocks. These are for the A blocks, and these are going to be for the B blocks. So you sew 2 of them together so you have a set of 4 for these. All right, so that is for Strip Ahoy. You can start on the 4 patches or just cut them off and then join them however you want to do it. It's great to feed those little 4 patches through as leaders and enders. They work really well. All right, so next one is our spinning daisies. There's our spinning daisies. And of course, one little correction, this is the crib size that is shown there. And so this case, we are just taking our strip sets of 2 and joining 2 of them together into a strip set of 4. And look what I found in my drawer today. It's always fun looking through old drawers. I found these units. I have no idea what this is from. I can kind of guess from the fabrics, but this is a strip set of 4. And I obviously used a honey bun because they have edges that are pinked edges. And so I have a lot of these, so I can probably make something, right? So I'm excited because I'm going to use this now, and it's a great demo because here's what we need to do. If you are using the honey buns or anything with a pinked edge, and I told you don't worry about the pinked edges until we are ready to sew these together. So what I want you to do, whether you're doing a strip set of 4 or a strip set of 2, and you're ready to start subcutting or sewing something else to it, I just take them and trim them after the fact. So these guys, of course, are going to finish at 4 inches because each strip is going to finish at 1 inch. So this is going to be 4 inches finished, which means that this should be 4.5 right now. And so that middle seam, 4.5, half of 4.5 is 2.25. So this middle seam should just line up on the 2.25. And I'm just going to use my little arrow so that you can see this more easily. So I'm going to put just these little arrows on the 2.25. So the 2.25 inch on the Stripology ruler. So you want to go, here's my 2-inch slit and here's my 2.5-inch slit. So it's the dotted line between the 2 and the 2.5-inch slits. So that's the dotted line. That is the line that I want to line up on my seam. That's all I want to think about. And then I'm just going to make a cut through the 0 and through the 4.5. And yes, not a lot I'm cutting off, but enough so that now I have a little nick in that pinked edge and a straight line. So I know exactly where to lay my fabrics as I start sewing other pieces to it. So that's what you would do. Also, if you're working with just 2 strips, I would just fold the sets in half like this, lay it down, and then of course it would be the 1.25 inch line on my ruler to line up on the seam, and then make those 2 cuts so I can trim it to a perfect width, and we're ready to add any kind of fabrics to it. All right, so the next one up is our strip lash quilt. Now our strip lash, that's the one that looks like hexagons, and this is in the Stripology 2 book. So this one is really, we don't do anything more with the strip sets because we are going to go from just a set of 2 and then we're ready to subcut it into our half hexagons. Now, if you don't have a Stripology XL ruler, you will need a 60-degree triangle ruler to cut these units. But I am going to show you how to use the XL to do that. So that is not, of course, in the book. So what you will need to do, if you don't have this already, is go to my website and download this free little instructional sheet to cut half hexagons with the XL ruler. So I have a link in the description, but if you go to quiltdesigns.com, on the top menu where it says more, click on that, and then it says bonus charts and templates, and you'll find this sheet. So you can adjust any kind of pattern to cut your half hexagons with the XL ruler. So we call it stripologizing your pattern. So you're going to go to this and follow the chart for subcutting these half hexagons. So, and then you don't need that 60-degree ruler. So what we're going to do is lay our strip unit. I am going to, of course, use the lines on my cutting mat here because they are at a 60-degree angle with the Stripology side. And then I'm going to use the 60-degree line on my ruler to align with the bottom of the strip set. So I'm aligning this with the bottom of the strip set all the way. And then I'm ready to do my first cuts. So I'm going to do my first cuts according to the chart. So the chart tells you the hexagon finish size, the strip width, and then the first cuts. And then we're going to do the second cut. So I'm going to follow the first cuts. I have actually thought ahead because if you're going to do this quilt, you're going to have a lot of strip sets that you're going to need to cut. And so it's really great to mark your cuts. So my first cuts are marked with the red arrows using my ruler stickers. So I'm going to make my first cuts. And then I'm just going to remove that little sliver that I trimmed off in the beginning and not move anything else. I'm just going to turn my ruler, and there is another 60-degree line going from the top left corner and down. So I am going to turn it so that now this line, this top line, is aligned with the top of the strip set. So not moving anything else. And then you will see once you line it up that this top corner here and the line going this way will be aligned with the edge of this unit here. But we're actually going to slide it over a little bit. So we turn our ruler and then we're going to slide it a little bit to the right because we want to line that corner of the strip set with the 1/4 inch line, the dotted 1/4 inch line to the left of the 0. And so now I see we are looking pretty good. And I'm ready to do my second cuts. So I marked my second cuts with a yellow sticker. So all I have to do is go and cut through my yellow arrows, the slits that are marked with a yellow. And then I have all my cuts done. So let me just show you. My half hexagons are ready to go. So then, of course, the best part about this, if you have the point trimmers, is trimming off your corners, the GE point trimmers. Now, I don't have one handy here. Do you see one over on that table? It's in that little holder with the pens. I don't know if I left it there or not. But I can stack these up and just trim these corners off, these points, because then when you lay the whole quilt out and do the final stuff, then everything will fit together perfectly. But what I recommend is keep making those sets of 2 if you want to make strip lash, and then get them all organized, get them trimmed off, and then next week I'm going to show you how you can arrange it and make all kinds of things. So it's okay. We will just show you with the trimmers next week. So I'm going to keep these like they are so that I can show you exactly how I trim those and then put them together. So that just leaves one quilt left, which is our option for doing bob and weave. Now I don't have that with me, but like I talked about last week, every time you sew 2 1.5 inch strips together, that equals as a 2.5 inch strip. So if you have that book and want to make that quilt, just think of it that way. You will just have to sew the 2s together to make one strip. And that quilt is made with a set of 3. So it'll be just like the strip search pattern where we have the set of 6 1.5 inch strips. So set of 3 2.5 will equal a set of 6 1.5 inch strips. So that's all. I know that was a lot. That was a lot. But that's okay. You can watch this back. And then, of course, check the blog tomorrow. We will update it with all the little info of where to go. And just relax. Take your time. There's no rush. If you're not even close to here, don't worry about it. This, like I said, this project is supposed to take time. It's supposed to happen all over time. So relax. Take your time. All right? Promise? Good. Do we have questions? I'm sure we have questions. All right. Let's see. So many options. I know a lot of you probably will have some trouble figuring out what you want your strip sets to become, but that's okay. You know, sometimes you might end up with 2 like I did, or maybe 3. So we will see. For the bob and weave, you need longer strips. You need at least 13.5, yes, for one block. So ideally, the best use of fabric for bob and weave would be 1.5 inch strips that are the full width of the fabric. So like those honey buns, they would work perfectly for bob and weave. All right. I know a lot of you may think you're lost. Don't worry about it. You don't have to learn all 6 quilts. So watch this again and think from the standpoint of which one am I making, and then just look at that, because everything else will make you really confused. All right. So yeah, I see more people that are confused. So just watch it again. All right. So, okay. Can you do it with your first big ruler? So I'm assuming that this question is for the half hexagons. Unfortunately, the original ruler only has one 60-degree line, so we can't turn it to be able to do the hexagons, unfortunately. All right. Thank you for the tips. That is welcome. We all want to just keep moving, keep learning, and the main thing is we're just going to have fun making a second quilt while we're working on other stuff as we feed stuff through our machine. Have it on the side. This could take months. It's okay if you don't finish it for another year. That's fine. I just wanted to take you through the steps, and I will give you more tips in the next couple of Tipsy Tuesdays, and that will be all the teaching I will do, but then you may not use it for quite a few weeks. But always know to go back to find all the information, to go back to find the videos. the blog is where to go. Find the blog post, and all the information will be gathered there with links to everything you need to find. All right. All right, so if you are using honey buns and are interested in honey buns, we still have just a few left for our grand opening sale. Of course, they're a great deal. They're only a third, 2/3 of the regular price, so $19.95 versus $30. So check that out. There's still a few left, and I may have snatched a couple this week. So then I wanted to dive into showing you some new things. We have some new stuff, and of course, always exciting to show you. We have, first off, I wanted to show you these fat quarter bundles. So the love for supersized Nina, that quick flannel quilt we did, I did using the flannel stash builder bundle from Moda, has sparked a lot of questions. Are you getting more flannel? And then, of course, when our friend Connie she's a part of the crew, she's one of my pattern testers, she made a supersized Nina out of really colorful, beautiful Woolies fabrics. So let's check out her quilt. There it is in the gorgeous, gorgeous fall colors. And so I knew I had to secure some of those fabrics. So we have gotten these fat quarter bundle from Maywood. The fabrics are called Woolies. So the texture of them look like they're like plaids and the wool texture, but they're of course flannels, really nice soft flannels. And this is the colorway that Connie's quilt is made out of. It's just called Colors Volume 2. And then we also have this one, which is like the holiday version. So just reds and greens. How awesome is that? What a cool holiday quilt this would be. So every block would have green and red. So you can just use them alternately. And then we have a neutrals one. This is a neutrals volume 2 with all these neutrals. So it will look very similar to my original quilt. Let me show. Can we put that on the screen? The original Nina supersized. Oh, there it is. Yeah, so it would look very similar to that. So very masculine, neutral, black, white, and gray, like everybody's new houses are. So it would work in any kind of decorative situation. And so these are just great because they're 20 fat quarters. So that's for the lap size. It'd be perfect for the lap size. So it was designed for this quilt. So I needed to get some of these. So these are available for a quick gift. If you're thinking quick Christmas gift, that's perfect. And then we have a new bundle that I wanted to show you. So I talked about the blues. The fabrics that I used for the Athena quilt. So we have the blues bundle in stock. If you pre-ordered this bundle, your order has already gone out. Let me clean up this mess so we don't have a messy table. So here I kind of chose colors going from the darkest navies. So I love these. These are by Janet Claire. So they are really nice textures, just really deep, rich blues. The dark navies into the medium blues, and then transitioning from the mediums into some of the lighter blues. And so I love the variation of color, of texture, very versatile bundle. So we have some of the lighter ones here. And I love this kind of a stripe. And then I included just one light because it has all the colors of the blue in it. So this is kind of just a shade from light to dark of the blues. And then not only do we have these, but I chose 4 coordinates. So her basic, which is kind of like a textured basic. I have loved this print for so many times. So we call it the blues navy. So these are available in 1 yards. The navy, the blues blue, the light blue, and then the ivory. So if you're thinking about the Athena quilt, you could use one single background of the ivory, or you could have a scrappy background, of course. And then these would also work to be thrown in there, or if you wanted to do borders or whatever. So these are all in stock and ready to go. So this is called The Blues by Janet Claire from Moda. And then we have another brand new bundle that I absolutely love because it's so unique. This is from Robert Kaufman, and it's called Warehouse District. So very artsy, abstract, and just so cool. So check out this print. So kind of reminds me a little bit of Tim Holtz, but different though. So Warehouse District. And so it has this print in a few colorways. I'm just going to throw them all out here. So just really textural prints. Here's another version. So what's cool about it, even selvage to selvage, you might get different. This looks very different if you cut a square from here than you would from here. So that's why it reminds me of Tim Holtz kind of. You can really have such great different textures from this. And then going into a little bit of the orange textures. So here's this print again with orange and some blues in it. I just love this so much. And the feel of these is really nice, almost like batiks a little bit. And then this print with the polka dots and a texture. And then we go into the darker colors. So we have this print with the browns and the blues and the greens, more blue. And this is the first print just in a different colorway. And then we have this one, same as that pink one with the blue and the green. And then a darkest navy. And I love having that darkest hue. And then we have the gray dot with the kind of a lot of black in it too. So just a really cool collection. So different, which is why I fell in love with it. And so I cannot wait to make something out of this. And I'm trying to think which one from the new book would be the pick for this. There's quite a few options. I may have to make the Trixie in a different layout that I always wanted to try. All right, so then we have another blue line called Sashiko. And by the way, if you're trying to look for these products on the website, we decided that we're not going to make anything live until after the show. So once the show is off air, all the products will be in the store, but you won't find them right now. So this is a line from Wyndham. And so it takes that cool technique of Sashiko, but it's all printed, of course, but you get that same kind of texture into the fabric. And so it has the nice dark navies and then the lighter medium blue. So it's just kind of the same prints in a light and a dark. And I kind of love that. So another great option for the Athena quilt, just using these blues. And it's like, you can see it's like a hand stitched texture, but of course it's all just printed on. But I just love these. I think they're really cool. Give kind of a dimension, being so simple, but yet having that dimension just gives it a really cool feel. So there is Sashiko. 12 pieces are in this collection. And like I said, I picked just a mix of the dark navies and the medium blues. And it's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful combination. Brand new, and it's already cut up and ready to ship out. And then we have one more brand new one, another favorite fabric company, Macower UK. I just love how the take on all their stuff. So this one is called Folk Friends. A very cool, colorful, fun line. So all these kind of folk art units with the horses and the fox and the trees and flowers. I just love this. So it has this really sharp colors on a black background. We have a floral and then a really cool paisley. So there's a little bit of gold metallic in here, which is so pretty. Just kind of, not every print has it, but just a little speck. So look at this cool abstract print too. What a great blender this is. And then, so then we have this black with that metallic to kind of calm things down. We have the flowers on this really bright, fun kind of watermelon color background. This geometric print, and I love this print with the trees. So very kind of abstract, fun colors. Love this turquoise with it. This is the stripe. Very cool, right? So all these kind of rainbows and textures and triangles, but into a stripy print. Love that. So we have the floral again, and then the trees again in the yellow. And this is a 14-piece collection because I just did not want to skip any of these, so I made it a little bit bigger because I really love this too in the light background. And then we finish it off with the light background with that gold in it. So this is Folk Friends. So the bundle, like I said, is 14 pieces, but there's also a panel. We have a panel in both the light background, so a light panel, and it has these really nice circular motifs. So the little animals in the circle. And so let me measure these. I forgot to measure it before. So we'll just do that with a ruler. And so these will be cut. These could be cut to, they could finish at either 7 or 7.5. So a really great size. I think a great 7 would be a great finish at 7 inches. So you could replace blocks in a regular quilt, any 7-inch block that finishes at 7 or 7.5 with these. And so they come both in the black and the light. So here's the black one. Really nice and sharp. And you get a little bonus strip of this here on the bottom. Look at that. What a great 1.5-inch strip to throw into your leaders and enders. So this will give you, let me see, 6, 3 times 5. So 15 blocks, 15 units from the panel. So that one is sold separately, but really pretty, fun, colorful line. So any questions on this one? I know you guys had a lot of questions on our batting. I just wanted to tell you that all the pre-orders for the batting and the starter kits for Fast and Furious Club went out. And now I know some of you that received the wrong type of batting in the beginning. We are getting the replacement batting, so it should be coming anytime now. And hopefully we'll get this out to you as soon as possible. But that is it. So how do you decide which fabrics from a bundle to get to be single yard pieces? So I just started ordering the extra yardage just recently. So you'll see that coming more frequently now. But in the first, earlier orders, I didn't include that, including this one. So it's really hard sometimes to get fabric after the first initial shipment. But I try and choose some things that are more of a solid, more of a texture that I don't really necessarily want in the bundle because they would maybe stick out too much for being almost like a solid. But they'd be great as accent colors, accent pieces. So sashings, backgrounds, bindings, borders, things like that. So sometimes I'll actually get a big print too that would work well as a border, or it's just a print that would be great in bigger pieces. So you'll just have to kind of see as we move forward and seeing how everything works out. All right. So I see a comment there that somebody said that the batting is not fusing. If you received a bag that did not fuse, email me and I will take care of that. All right. So some people are getting their starter kits. That is really great. Yes, shipping is taking a while. That is just an all over the country and world kind of problem with COVID rising everywhere. Shipping is taking quite a bit longer. But we just have to be patient. We try and get everything out right away. All right, so how do you know if you got the right batting? If it fuses, you got the right batting. All right, so many great choices. Thank you, Jan. I appreciate that. I love picking these. Like I said, I love coming up with the combinations and, making the best of it. So our live winner, do we have a live winner ready for everybody? Our live winner is Tina Allen. Congratulations, Tina. You won a $25 gift card. And we will try and contact you. If you can see this, send me an email or send us a message on Facebook, and we will get that gift card to you so you can start shopping as soon as possible. But of course, we always finish with a question. So even if you're not watching live, you can still enter to win another gift card. And so all you have to do is answer this question in the comments. So here's my question. Which pre-cut do you like to work with most? So 5-inch squares, 10-inch squares, 2.5-inch strips, 1.5-inch strips. And this is really hard for me. It will be a toss-up between 10-inch squares and 2.5-inch strips. I used 2.5-inch strips for so long, but I've been designing with 10-inch squares for 6-7 years as well. So it's a toss-up. I love playing with both in different ways. So I don't think I could decide, but love the little ones too, because they just make such cute things when they're smaller. So that is great. So we appreciate if you share our videos, of course. If you have friends that you think would appreciate it and would love to watch our shows, weekly shows, we will have a show next week. It is a big day in the U.S. Yes, Election Day, November 3rd. We will have a show. So get out there and vote early. Make sure your ballot gets in that box, or get your ballot in, and then come watch the show. Hang out with us. We're going to have our own little mini election about quilts. Yes, about quilts. So remember too, if you live in a place that does not turn the clock, daylight savings, we are turning our clocks back this weekend. So we are going to be on an hour later than normal. So all my friends in Iceland, I'll be on an hour later than normal, unfortunately, wintertime. So just make a note of that. I know there are some places in the States as well that don't switch the time zones. I know a lot of places in Canada don't either. So make sure you make that note. We are going to be an hour later than normal. And of course, this coming Friday, October 30th, will be our Halloween show. Yes, we will be live 3 p.m. this coming Friday. And I wanted to just send a little special personal message out, a great big hugs, thoughts, and prayers too. And I wanted to, if you're praying people, to add my grandmother to your prayers. She was moved into assisted living a couple of weeks ago, and then they had an outbreak, so she has COVID, is currently in the hospital, and it's really hard to be so far away, but happy to say that she is still able to talk to my mom and her aunt, and they are now quarantining because they went to visit her before the diagnosis. So prayers for everybody. I hope everybody makes it through back in Iceland, but be safe out there, everybody. Wear that mask, and I will see you this coming Friday.